I remember now a conversation that I had with someone. I was at synagogue once, and I started talking to someone about what I do, and immediately she said to me, well, they're only here looking for work. They just want money. So working within the community, I was able to within the refugee community, I was very, very easily able to give her, many instances of people who were here because they were running away from a dictatorship or from war in Darfur. And when she heard that, she sort of took it in for a second, and she said, okay, you know what, fine. I won't call them infiltrators or foreign workers. Maybe they're actually here because they're refugees. But what are you doing working with them? She said, she quoted this quote, Aniyei ircha kodmim, like the poor of your city come first. And I looked over at her and I was like, I don't know where you're living, but these people are the poor people of my city. I moved to Israel wanting to work with underprivileged people and people who need help. And when I looked for them, this is who I found. These are the people who have no access to services and no access to health care. These are the people who are going hungry and having difficulties. And it's not at the exclusion of Jewish people. I've also worked with Jewish homeless people and Arab homeless people. But the people who have no infrastructure there for them to catch them, and no support of any kind of system, are African refugees, and they're living here with me, and I think, and that conversation with her sort of continued that, that she was a little bit upset that I would say that, and then she continued on to say, well, you really have an obligation to first help people who are Jewish, and that's your biggest obligation. No, but you can bring different, there are different quotes, like, about helping Jewish people. Like, it's not, like, there is definitely some sort of value of helping within your community. But I think that the problem happens when we stop recognizing that our community includes other people. And we stop realizing when we walk down the street that guy sleeping on that park bench, or that woman with her baby who has no formula and no diaper, that those people are here with me. And very often people will say to me, well, we can't fix all of Africa. We can't go and end world hunger. We're just a small country. We're just a young country. And the truth is, nobody's asking you to fix all of Africa. And you really can't, and it's a huge global issue and a problem, and it's not okay, and there's injustice. But when there's injustice at your doorstep, that's when you have an opportunity to do something. And somehow people mix up the idea that the injustice here should belong to us, and they start to feel like, well, if someone walked over our border, that makes it someone else's problem. But our treatment of these people, and these people have nowhere to go. They can't get on an airplane. They can't go to Canada. They have nowhere to go. They're stuck here. They can't go back to where they came from because it's dangerous for them, and they can get killed, and it's not safe. And I remember when I was working at ASSAF, I once went back to the States to visit my husband's family. And I went to the airport, and I took out my passport, and I walked up to the counter, and I just had this experience of like, oh my gosh, this is something that is a humongous privilege. Like, I can go to the airport and I could say I want to go almost anywhere in the world, and I can just get on a plane, and it's not just the financial resources, but just being seen as a person who's worthy of movement in this world. And working with people who are cataloged as being unworthy of being able to move anywhere, it really gives you an awareness that where they are right now, it's so important what the treatment of them is, because there's no other options. And I've seen, unfortunately, I've had clients who have been offered by the Israeli government to be repatriated back to Sudan, and so, some of them have died. Like, because it's so difficult for them to struggle here in a foreign place, they'd rather go back to a place that's full of genocide and political violence and wars, and suffer tremendous consequences, losing their children, because this country isn't able to accommodate itself to provide people with minimal standards. Like, in my view, we should roll out a red carpet and we should say, we understand you, we were there in our history, we want to be there for you. And, and that's, maybe that's taking it too far, but at least to provide people with the opportunity to support themselves, not to give them any handouts, just to let them support themselves, because we need labor. Like, that's another one of the very big, not understandable things that's happening, is that we're bringing in tens of thousands of foreign workers from the Philippines or from Asia, and we're bringing them, like, we're bringing them on airplanes, we're giving them work permits, we're actively recruiting them, and there's people here who can work, and we're not providing them with the opportunity to work. We're withholding from them the opportunity to support themselves. Our economy needs them and they need us, so it seems like a really good arrangement. And there are people who aren't coming here just to make some money. There are people who are stuck here because they ran away from something really bad. And that's, that's always something that I just never was able to understand.